Hello everyone, welcome to Time Chat. I'm your host, Dr. Yvonne Khan. Jane Hull once said, at the end of the day, the most overwhelming key to a child's success is the positive involvement of parents. Today, education groups throughout the country are increasingly exploring ways to further involve parents in their child's academics. In New York City's public schools, there are many ways to become involved as the parent of a student. At the school level, one can join the Parent-Teacher Association, otherwise known as the PTA, and be sure to attend meetings that are hosted every month by the school. In addition to the school PTA, every New York City school has a designated parent coordinator whose primary role is to serve as the liaison or the connector between the school administration and questions from you parents at home. It's important that every parent knows who their child's parent coordinator is at their local public school. I grew up in the New York City public school system, and I remember other ways that my parents would be involved. Oftentimes, schools looked for parent volunteers for class trips or events such as bake sales and holiday shows. My parents made sure to attend every parent-teacher night at school 3 to 4 times a year. This helped my teachers better understand my background and academic needs. Report cards for the first marking period are being released in the next 2 weeks, and I encourage all parents to visit their child's school and meet their teachers personally. Today's guest has likely participated in many of the activities I mentioned, on their way to becoming a member of the New York Citywide Council on High Schools, representing the needs of high school students in Brooklyn and the rest of New York City. The Citywide Council on High Schools is an advisory body concerned with the education of high school students. The Citywide Council on High Schools is responsible for issuing an annual report on how effectively high school students are served by the New York City Department of Education and for making recommendations for improvements. The CCHS must hold at least one public meeting per month during which the public may discuss issues concerning high schools. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Maryana Russo to our show today. Maryana, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So, how did you first become involved with the New York Citywide Council on High Schools?
I got involved with other parents recommended that I join the council. I was involved in my local CC at first as a council member, and then as other possibilities opened up, seats at the citywide level, I decided to apply for that.
So the CEC sounds like a more local level, and you're the parent of how many children?
I have 4 children.
And at what point did you become involved with being an active parent in the school system?
I would say my second child, I decided to be an active parent and try to be a vehicle for change, because there were things that I saw that needed improvement. So if you're involved, you can make those changes and improve the system.
What are some of the changes that initially brought you to become more involved?
First, I wanted to get involved in the curriculum that my children were being prepared. So I got involved with the school leadership team.
Okay.
It's made up of an equal amount of staff and parents. It meets once a month to discuss the educational plan of each school. And so I would encourage parents to apply.
Okay.
There's a election once a year, but if you already missed the election, you can always attend these meetings. They're open to the school community.
Fantastic. So I'm going to get back to some of your pathways, but overall, as a member of the New York Citywide Council on High Schools, what's the mission of the Citywide Council on High Schools?
We're advocating for students and parents at the high school level to be the parent voice. So not every parent in high school can attend all meetings, so we are kind of their representative at the citywide level, 2 representatives from each borough.
So you guys are hearing what the parents and the families' needs are at the community level, and where do you take that information to for that change?
We hold meetings with the chancellor, deputy chancellors, and discuss with them what we believe, and also the New York City needs, and also our annual report is another vehicle that.
So there are several projects involved in being a member of the Citywide Council. So you're a parent of 4 kids, and you got started off when your second child was in elementary school?
Yes.
And now you have your third child, your second child's in RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, and your third child's in Brooklyn Tech as a sophomore, and you also have a youngster in the 4th grade. So what's it been like for you as a parent volunteer who's grown that role into such a high level now with 4 kids that have been public school students?
So it really starts at a small level, like that I wanted to change some of the curriculum in the school. And then slowly you find out it's really not dependent on the school itself, but the chancellor or who are making these decisions. So that's where you get involved in the larger citywide issues, because schools really react to DOE and their initiatives. So to be part of the process, you need to speak to the people making decisions.
And how's that been for you?
Oh, it's been fantastic and frustrating, because at times decisions are made for financial reasons rather the best needs to support our students.
It's a very vast school system.
Yes.
Our school system is 1.1 million students, and that's bigger than a lot of U.S. cities. So I can't imagine how tough some of those decisions must be. So speaking of our school system, we have over 400 high schools in New York City. At what point in a child's education or age should they start thinking about high school choices?
As soon as you enter middle school, in 6th grade, really you should start preparing. But it's important that in 7th grade you participate in the high school process. Go through as if your child was going to be selecting a school at the end of the process. Attend all the meetings at your school. For 8th graders, attend the open houses, citywide open houses that are provided for parents.
Wow.
Attend school open houses, that are also provided in the fall. So, and these are the best resource, really visiting the schools, visiting these workshops that DOE holds for you is the best way to gain knowledge and what is best for your child.
So even though a lot of these workshops are open to 7th and 8th graders, your advice is to start early.
The earlier
6th grade, even if you're a 6th grader, start picking these up if you see them in the guidance office, and start looking into the information early before you're the one who has to go through it.
Yes.
So tell us about these 2 very, very important documents that all junior high schoolers should be getting at 6th grade, 7th grade. When is this normally given out?
It's given out at the end of 7th grade. So parents have a chance to go through the material during the summer. But it's best to get it the year before. So you can start selecting high schools and visiting schools before your time in 8th grade. Because in 8th grade, you may only have a couple of months to submit your application.
So you and I, Ms. Russo, agree on that one very important detail, in that most schools give these out in the end of 7th grade. However, a lot of what goes into our high school admissions happens during 7th grade, like our preparation for particular exams, whether it's the Common Core exams for screen schools or the SHSAT for the specialized high schools.
So these
Shouldn't
books,
we be getting this earlier?
You should. So your school, you can request it from your school, but
okay, you can request it. That's one way. But
that's one way. But attending these workshops or these citywide workshops, all these books are given out. So they really don't know who's coming in to the workshop. So all parents can get these books at this. Actually, I got those at the citywide Brooklyn Tech.
And this is so important, because as an educator, I've seen the late distribution has caused a lot of under-awareness for so many students, for so many of these wonderful schools here, or so many of these wonderful opportunities here. And if your school's not giving them out to you by the beginning of 7th grade, we strongly advise that you visit the school, visit the guidance office, and ask for a copy of this. Most guidance office should have some version of this, and if they can't give it to you on the spot, you can always ask for them to, or make arrangements to have some copies brought in for you. So the New York City high school landscape has changed significantly since when I went to high school. I went to high school in the mid to late 90s, and I graduated from Bronx Science. And back then we had these giant high schools, Jamaica High School, DeWitt Clinton, Richmond Hill High School, John Adams, and over time several of these high schools have become closed and converted into smaller schools. Can you tell us why some of those changes were made, and how has it worked out?
So basically, students were getting lost in the large environment.
Yeah.
So the idea was to create smaller environments where the staff knew the students and could keep an eye and keep them on track through the high school level.
Fantastic.
But it is not always the best option for every student.
Not for every student, okay.
Because the smaller environments offer less options for electives, AP courses, and maybe that is not best for your child. So you should always visit these schools and see if it is appropriate for your child and will be a good fit for them.
So advanced placement courses or AP courses are usually given to 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, and it's usually the larger high schools that have more of these courses to offer. So before selecting a high school, it's always important, as Ms. Russo's stating, to visit and find out what types of courses that they offer and to see if it's a good fit for your student and your child. But Ms. Russo, we're going to have to go to a quick break. We're going to be right back from these messages. We're meeting with Maryana Russo of the New York City Council on High Schools, and we'll be right back after these messages. We're back, and we're joined with Maryana Russo of the New York City Council on Citywide Council on High Schools. So, Ms. Russo, before we left, you mentioned that when students enter the middle school level at 6th, 7th grade, as early as possible, find out more about the high school options that they have to look forward to. Not only can these be found in the guidance office for all the high school options and the specialized high school options, however, these are also available online. So, at what grade do junior high schoolers apply to high school?
You apply at 8th grade.
So in the
beginning of 8th grade, and the applications are due December 1st.
So all 8th graders watching at home, if you haven't completed your total high school application, that deadline's coming up in December 1st. So there's a few insider tips that you have for families watching at home to increase their chances at the high school or the program within the high school of their dreams. I know that we're allowed to choose from 12 selections, and we put our ranks in. What are some tips that you can share for parents at home for 8th graders?
To remember, you're applying to a program in a high school, not a high school. So if there's a large high school like in Midwood that has several programs, you list as many programs that you qualify for.
Okay.
And that could take up to between 3 and 5 programs. So that could be 5 options on your application.
So if I really wanted to go to a particular high school that's very competitive, be sure to look at all the programs that I'm eligible to apply for, and make sure to apply for every single program if I really want to be in that high school.
Correct.
And you also have another tip for visiting high school fairs. And if you visit and you put your name on the sheet, that alone can get the attention of some high school admissions officers. Tell us about that a little bit.
So that's called limited on screen. Some high schools are limited on screen, and they look at the students' interest in the schools. So visit the fairs, sign in your name on the attendance sheet, and visit the schools. And make sure you sign in as well when you go visit the schools. And
when are the high school fairs coming up?
They already ended. They are usually held in October. Actually, late September is the citywide fairs. Borough fairs are in October.
Got it.
So they are already completed, but you still have options to visit the schools. Make sure you can call the parent coordinator and request a visit, so it's not too late.
Excellent. Recently, to some more recent news, just last week, New York City has vowed to make the SAT free for all high school juniors. So it sounds like if you're a high school junior in New York City, the application fee to take the exam has been waived for all public school juniors. How do you feel about that at the citywide councils?
Oh, that is great because for especially immigrants and low-income students, they may not have it available to take this test. So it gives them an opportunity, especially immigrants who may not be aware what the steps it is to sign up for these tests. So now the school will provide it for you.
And is there a provision there that the SAT will be given during school hours at all to increase that, or is that not there yet?
I believe that was the proposal that they're looking at. It be given to all students during the school day.
So that would help not let any students slip through the cracks as far as not taking the exam on time and missing out when you should be taking it. Because we all understand that having a good score in the SAT or the ACT can help you land your college admissions, because most competitive colleges are looking for some sort of indicator of your abilities outside of your GPA. So what advice would you have for new immigrants watching at home or low-income families? As you know, coming from a Bangladeshi family in New York City, we started out some of the most impoverished school districts, and we're facing this, the same challenges that many students, thousands of students across the city face. So what advice would you have for new immigrants and low-income families?
I would say visit your college counselors. There's so many opportunities to waive admission fees, also college application fees, depending on your income. So you may not know all of them. So I would visit the council and ask for assistance there, because New York City has many provisions to help low-income students.
So would you advise parents to visit their high schools directly and visit the college counselor?
Yes.
Great.
And ask for their advice and see what benefits they can provide you.
Wow, yeah, and luckily you have years of experience with your own family, and now that you're also on the official side, you have the connections through both channels. One of the last few questions. You've obviously been able to do a lot, being a member of so many parent associations and now the citywide council on high schools. What changes would you ultimately like to see in the next decade for the public school system throughout New York City?
I would like to see more direct interventions to students who are struggling, and that would also include the English language learners. They need many resources to stay on grade, so we should not allow them to slip through the cracks. So to at every grade level have enough intervention available in every school for every test, so nobody's allowed to fall behind. So that would be my dream, to see no child literally not left behind in the school system in every grade level.
Well, we still have you on board, hopefully, until your child gets through Brooklyn Tech, and I know your younger one is a few years behind, but I know you're going to be fighting that good fight for all of us throughout New York City. We have a lot of new immigrant viewers at home. We're nearing the end of our show. Do you have any final messages for families at home?
To do your homework, really to read this directory. It tells you admission policies, the number of applicants applying to each program. It tells you the options, and do not leave any school that you're interested in out of the possibility. Visit it, consider it, and also if your child has other talents, artistic, musical, to apply for the audition schools. That there are many throughout New York City.
I have time for one or two more questions. How do your kids feel about you being so involved in the school system?
Oh, they're not always very happy that I am so involved, because there is a time that you have to miss from family gatherings to attend these public meetings. So sometimes they do wish I was at home more.
At home more. And you have 4 kids, all from the law school level to the elementary school level. How is it raising kids in the New York State public school system, where you have different personalities within your own kids and different strengths, and how can parents recognize the unique strengths in each of our own kids?
That's right. Every child cannot, will not flourish in every high school. So knowing what they're interested in, if they are interested, let's say some boys are interested in sports, make sure that a school has sports teams, so they have something else to go to school for, and also an arts program. Even if your child is not interested in a totally artistic school, but likes the arts, make sure they have art programs for them to attend. And I would stress that they have the largest number of AP courses available, because the larger the selection, your child may not be best in every subject, but there will be some APs that your child will be interested in taking and subjects. So I would say the more choices, the better for parents and students.
Fantastic. Ms. Russo, it was an honor speaking to you. I learned a lot from our conversation, and it really took me back to times with my father when he was my mentor. So can't wait to have you back on our show.
Thank you.
We just had a chance to hear from Maryana Russo of the New York City Council on high schools. Not only did we learn about her journey into becoming more involved as a parent leader, but we hope that many of you at home are inspired to follow in her footsteps. Overall, it's been an exciting week for high school students across New York City. In addition to having the New York City College Fair in town at the Jacob Javits Center, they announced this week that the SAT will be free for all juniors from New York City Public Schools. I personally applaud this step in removing an important barrier, such as cost, which can prevent many families from taking their SATs in the first place or even knowing about it. With more NYC students taking the SAT, we hope to see an increasing number of low-income students graduate and continue on to a college that best fits their needs. Please keep in mind that report cards will be handed out to all students grades K through 12 in the next 2 weeks. As always, it's advised that you review your report card with your child and find out when parent-teacher conferences will be held at your child's school. This will be a great way for you to learn more about the school system on your way to a bright future for you and your family. Next week, we hope to interview other leaders in New York City that are helping their families and communities. Until then, I'm your host, Dr. Yvonne Khan. We wish you all a great week, and always remember to pay it forward.